I spend nearly half of my weekends throughout the year in the woods photographing and filming landscapes and wildlife. And there's a lot of things that can go wrong when you're spending that much time outdoors, or even if you're just going for your first time. So I want to talk about some of the ways that I prepare to be outdoors and some of the dangers of solo hiking to go out and get landscape photos or filming them, as well as photographing and filming wildlife. And the first thing I really want to talk about is wildlife itself. I'm currently just outside of Shenandoah National Park, and there are black bears here. There's not a whole lot of them, but black bears are present in the Appalachian Mountain Range. So I always am prepared for black bears. When I'm going to places that are more abundant with them, there are a few things that I bring with me. The first thing that I bring is bear spray, and you can go and get this anywhere, but it is incredibly critical to have. This is from a company called UDAP, and it comes in a sheath, and this is what it looks like here. Now when you're using bear spray, these can shoot up to about 30 feet, but they're most effective within 10 feet and under. Bears are very sensitive. Their nose is incredibly sensitive. They have the best sense of smell. So you want to make sure that to be using this when the bear is actually close to you. And this is for sure going to turn that bear away and leave you alone. I've never had to use it, but it is something that I always carry with me. And it has a belt loop. So you can put this on your belt. And this is always with me, either in my bag or on my person if I'm in a high concentrated area with black bears. Another thing I carry is usually in those scenarios, I will also have a gun with me, but I also will have a smaller machete. And this is also something that loops around onto your belt. You can put this in your backpack. On my backpack, it actually has an attachment, so I can put this on the side of my backpack, so that's easily accessible if it were to come to having to use this. Now, it's not something I would want to go up and fight a bear with, but I'd rather have this than a pocket knife or a small knife. Machetes are known as choppers, so if I were to swing at it, it's going to do a lot more damage than just a Bowie knife or a regular hand knife. Something like this isn't going to do too much to it. So I like having something a little bit heavier and meatier that's going to make sure that I have a fighting chance if me and this black bear are getting into fisticuffs. Besides those, there are a few other things that you can get. You can get things like bear bangers or a whistle. Metal whistles have higher decibels, so if you blow the whistle, it can scare them. You may be even saying that black bears are generally skittish and they don't really bother people. And I've even had incredibly close encounters with a sow and her cubs where she didn't seem really bothered by me. But black bears are actually more dangerous than grizzly bears, mountain lions, anything within that realm. A predatory black bear or the male, if it is hungry, it is going to attack you to kill you, whereas grizzlies generally will attack you if you're near a food cache or if you're near their cubs and they're attacking to get you away, to get you out of their territory, whereas black bears, if they're coming at you, their intent is to eat you. So they kill more people than any other bear species, and even within the last few years here in the Appalachian Mountains, there have been bear attacks where people have been killed by black bears. So it's something to be prepared for if you're going to be in black bear territory. The other big mammal that we have out here is elk. So if you're in Pennsylvania or if you're in the Smoky Mountains, there are elk, and you want to know the wildlife that are in the area, in that ecosystem, that are going to be roaming around, so that when you are there, you know how they behave. Animal behavior and understanding animal behavior is incredibly important. You know how close you are to the animal and the signs that the animal is giving you if you're too close to it and it's time for you to back away. Especially during the rut season, when a lot of people like to go to the Smokies and to Pennsylvania and Elk County to photograph and film elk and see them. You want to keep your distance, 50 yards at a minimum. A lot of people like to get closer, and if an animal seems comfortable with you and with you being in that range, like, then it's generally okay. During the rut season, bull elks are filled with testosterone. They have two main objectives during that season, and one is to find mates, and the other one is to fight and show domination of territory. So you being there is in their territory, and you have to be aware of what the possibilities are that can happen in those scenarios. So just be aware of that. Research the animals in your location. Another big thing out here are timber rattlesnakes, keeping an eye out for those, watching where you step, watching for downed logs and rocks where they can hide in. So just look where you're going when you're moving about the trail or walking throughout the woods. I have yet to ever see one, but I know people who do run into them, and I've seen plenty of videos. And if you're hiking alone and you get bit by one, then that's going to be a really bad day, and you have to figure out how you're going to get out of there in a very short period of time. So moving away from wildlife, I want to talk about another big concern, which is people. Generally, everyone who's going out to these places, we're of the same mindset. Everyone is going out to enjoy the wilderness and enjoy the outdoors. But there are people, especially if we're photographers and filmmakers, we have very expensive gear. We're out in the middle of nowhere. There's no security cameras. So you have to be aware of other people. Don't leave your stuff laying around. And if you see sketchy people, maybe move to a different part of the trail, turn around, head back. You see something, say something. Just don't put yourself at risk. There have also been cases of people disappearing, throughout the Blue Ridge and Appalachian Mountains. And there have been cases where people have been arrested and tried for killing people along the Appalachian Trail. So people are concerned. So protect yourself. Again, carry a weapon with you. Bear spray, I'm sure, would work against a person if they were coming at you. But just be aware of your surroundings. That's really what it comes down to when we're talking about wildlife and other people on the trail. Now let's talk about the woods. When it comes to being outdoors, there are a few things you should be aware of, in that one of them is falling trees, especially out here where it's so humid. You do get tree rot quite often. Again, being aware of where you're walking. I'm sure everyone's seen the video of the couple that was in a hot spring or lake of some sort, and a tree fell down right next to them. Even the campsite where I'm staying at here, this is about the third time I've been here, and every single time that I've been here, almost every single night, I hear a tree fall. If that happens to you and you're alone, one, if you didn't die from it and you get pinned, you have to now figure out how you're going to get out of there. So it's, again, always safe to go with other people, but if you're like me and you can't always get people to come spend half their year outdoors or half the weekends out of the year outdoors, then you're out here by yourself, and you have to be prepared for it in order to survive it, so you can go out there and photograph more animals and do more landscapes. So keeping an eye out for downed trees. I've fallen on false rocks thinking that it was moss, or that the rock was sturdy enough and the moss had slid off the rock, and I actually that helped into breaking my hand. I've cracked the lens doing that same thing, slipping on wet rocks. So knowing how to traverse the terrain, knowing how to walk on slippery surfaces, and taking your time. Don't just look down at the ground when you're walking, though. Look over the entire environment, looking for dead trees or rotted trees. And if you're out in the wilderness when it's windy or a storm is coming, steer clear of those, move past them quickly, have your eye on them while you're moving past them, because you never know what that tree needs in order to just fall over, or have tree limbs even fall on you. I'm gonna take a quick moment just to plug my donation link or my tip link in the description. If you're enjoying this video, or you enjoy any of my videos, those little contributions help to provide better gear for when I'm outdoors, providing better content for you guys here in the wildlife and landscape genre, and it is greatly appreciated. To those of you who have donated, thank you so much. All right, and now back to the video. Now, because anything can happen when you're outdoors and you can get lost, it's very easy to get turned around, especially in dense forest. I forget exactly what they call it, but it's you go into a delusional state where everything starts looking the same, and it can actually trigger panic attacks. So if something like that were to ever happen to you, again, being prepared for it. If you have to spend the night in the woods, I always carry a Petzl. This is 900 lumens, so always having something either 900 lumens or above. I can see incredibly far with this. It has 4 settings. It has low light, medium light, the 900 lumens, and then it shoots a focused. That way it's not spread. If I need to see right directly in front of me, it'll, almost like a snoot, will focus on the trail where I'm walking, and it is rechargeable. So because it's rechargeable, I always carry a battery pack, and this battery pack will charge my phone up to about 4 times, so it'll give me roughly the same when it comes to me ever having to use the headlamp. And I always carry something like this with me. You can get smaller ones. This one's pretty heavy and it's pretty old, but having at least a battery pack to charge a headlamp or charge your phone, because I don't use a GPS or satellite GPS or anything. I usually just use Google Maps where I'm at, because it'll show me the trail and I can figure out, I can at least use the compass on it to know where I need to go. Another thing I always carry with me is something to start fires. So this is a 511 knife that also has a flint striker on it, so I can actually light a fire if I need to. There it is. And I will also carry with me emergency matches. So these do not, if they're wet, they will still light. You can see how much bigger it is compared to a normal match. I always carry a few of these with me in my bag. Now these are for my campsite, but you can always take the lighting strip off of here and wrap it around it so that you can just set it on a rock or something and strike it if you're trying to save weight. Now, one of the most inexpensive ways that you can actually start a fire is with your dryer lint. So I always carry a bag of dryer lint with me, highly combustible, and usually if it's not too damp, you can still light it with one of those emergency matches. You can absolutely light it, and if you get some birch bark, you'll definitely be able to light it up with how flammable birch bark is. And if the place you're hiking has one, use a map. Definitely carry a map with you at all times. You never know when it's going to come in handy. I always have it on me, and it also doubles as being able to start a fire. As far as some other things I carry in my bag, I usually have a little pocket knife, and this actually comes with a Phillip head attachment. So if I need to use that for any camera gear, and it also comes with a flathead attachment too. And then of course, chapstick. I'll always carry chapstick with me. For some reason when I'm in the mountains, well, not for some reason, I know why. Usually elevation and UV light, the light from the sun can actually cause you to get sunburned quicker, and your lips are the easiest thing to get sunburned. So always carry some chapstick with you. Protect yourself, protect those lips. Still talking about weather, another thing I carry for my camera gear and myself is rain cover. So this goes on my camera, and then I have one that goes on my backpack, and then I have one that goes on me. And this is, I carry an orange one with me because if I ever get lost, this is highly visible. It will stand out. You can see it's, if I put this somewhere in the background, you would see it. Well, yeah, I'll actually just do that. So I'm sure that you can see the jacket hanging up all the way back there. That is probably, only 20 or 30 yards, but it's something that will be visible, and if you get lost, search and rescue teams are going to be looking for something that is highly visible to them from up in the air. Oh, it's so hot and humid that I'm literally out of breath just sitting here. And so yeah, something highly visible for air rescue teams and search parties that are on the ground. If they're out looking for you, want something, again, highly visible. Lastly, I want to talk about health concerns. So knowing your limits, like I have some really bad ankles. So normally I need something with ankle support, and if I'm not wearing something with ankle support because it's summertime, then I'm making sure that where I'm traversing, I'm aware of those surroundings and I'm not stepping on any crazy rocks or anything where I could hurt my ankle and I'm now stuck a few miles into the woods with 1 foot. Another thing is hydration. So if you either carry a large thermos with you, I usually carry like a 3/4 gallon thermos, which is a lot of weight, but I also don't like carrying my filtration system. I'd like to have either one or the other, and so if you want to have both, you can have both. If not, get one of those water filtration systems. They do work good as long as you can find some running water. Unless I'm hiking in a place that has water, then I'll use it. If not, then I never bring it with me. Another thing is using like hydration packs. I'll usually put a couple of these inside my bag in case I do need to get more water, or I'll add them to my water as I'm drinking it. Usually I'll bring like 1 or 2 of them just for the magnesium and potassium while I'm out hiking. Knowing your limits is really big. Like I was saying, I have bad ankles. I have a pretty bad back and my knees at the age of 30, which is great. So working a trail, not going beyond what you are capable of. Like, it was about 6 years ago, but I tried to do the Grand Canyon, about 12 miles in the Grand Canyon in 1 day, and ended up really hurting myself. I got all the way down there, not anticipating the heat or the elevation change, and I had new boots on. It was a whole bunch of beginner mistakes. Ended up passing out on a bench at the bottom and woke up to some old lady like petting my head because she pretty much thought that I was dead and or on the verge of it. Gave me some water, and because I only brought one 16-ounce water bottle, and used my camera tripod to help get me all the way back up. And then I camped in my car for 3 days because my hips, knees, every joint was killing me. And of course I had all my camera gear with me. So, you're looking at between 15 and 25 pounds. It was not a pleasant experience. So know your limits and don't push yourself. If you know that you can hike 10 miles, 5 miles, 20 miles in a day, then stick to that. None of this is worth risking it. That's again why planning is so important. Plan out how far of a hike you have to go to either figure out where wildlife are or wherever your landscape photography destination is. Another thing is snacks. So bringing something that is going to be pretty much high carbohydrate or high fat or both, with salt and protein. So protein bars are good. I like to bring macadamia nuts or pistachios. I'll bring beef jerky or beef sticks, and I'll bring some like cheese sticks. Again, the hydration packs usually cover me on the hydration part, which is why you want something salty to replace electrolytes while you're out hiking, especially out here where it gets so humid and so hot, and you're sweating. Like I'm sweating just sitting here, and it's 77 degrees. So you want something that is going to be replenishing the vitamins and minerals that you're losing while you're out hiking. And lastly, something that I do every time I come out here is let somebody know. That person for me is usually my mom, because she gets worried about the things that I'm doing and the places that I'm going, and me having bear encounters and going out there to look for bears to photograph them. She's always concerned. So I always tell her where I'm going and generally when I'm going to be leaving. So let someone know. And if you're going to change your plans, if you're going to be in someplace different, let that person know where you're going to be, where you changed up your position, and when you are going to be leaving. Now, if you carry anything different than what I already listed here, put it in the comment section below. Share this video with anybody if you know somebody who's going out there doing solo adventures or doing solo landscape and wildlife photography. Make sure that they're prepared. Another thing I didn't mention was first aid kit. Make sure you have something, some antiseptic, some bandages, and something for like stings and bites. And usually I carry bug spray with me too. So share this with them so that they have a good idea of what they should have in their bag beyond just their camera gear. And if you enjoyed this video, or maybe you just enjoy campfires, give this video a thumbs up, as it does help the channel out. And if you want to learn more about wildlife photography, go ahead and give this video a watch next.